We are welcoming to our topical conversation Miranda Bachman, running for the office of Kansas House of Representatives, District 69. We appreciate you taking the time to educate voters. Miranda will make an opening statement, then answer questions prepared in advance. Miranda, go ahead with your opening statement.
Okay, well, my name's Miranda Bachman, and as you said, I'm running for District House 69. Um, I live here in Salina, Kansas. I'm an organizer, a mom. I spent about 20 years working in the healthcare industry as a CNA. I've never considered myself a politician. It's never been a career goal of mine. I simply just decided to run because I got tired of watching regular people struggle with problems that government already has the ability to address. So I've been organizing in my community for the last 7 years, two more full time. I've worked with people experiencing food insecurity, housing instability, utility issues, healthcare, all the things. And what I've learned is that people just, aren't really asking the government to solve every problem. They're just asking, us to actually do the job. So my campaign is really about community over profit, practical solutions, and accessible representation. I am progressive, but I'm also very practical. I know that doesn't represent everyone in my district, and that's okay. If an idea helps people in District 69 and it makes sense for Kansas, I don't really care. The person who brought it to the table is Democratic or Republican. The letter behind their name just really doesn't mean anything to me anymore. I just want to find practical solutions for my community. And mostly, I want people to have a representative they actually know and they can reach and who is willing to show up. So,
Okay, Miranda, thank you very much for that opening statement. We'll move into the questions. How are you going to keep in touch with your constituents?
well, I like to say that I'm already super accessible. I'm already doing a lot of community events, some fun things like a community show and tell we did. Also more serious things like the listening sessions at the community roundtables. So we'll continue doing those. My phone, email, and all of the social media is super accessible. Um, I don't want my constituents to really have to come to me. I want to come to them. And I want them to know who I am and what my job is and, what I'm there to do. And then after Topeka, after a session in Topeka, I'd like to be able to come back here and kind of report what's going on and be able to, kind of communicate some of those things a little bit more understandable. I just don't think that representatives should really disappear between elections. So I really want to be accessible all the time.
Thank you very much for that answer. Next question, number two. How will you work to bring people together?
Well, some of those are those community events and just trying to do different things and, ask different questions. You don't really want to start with too many labels. So, like a lot of my issues are clean water and property taxes, and those really aren't supposed to be partisan issues, childcare and, those rural communities here in Salina. We have different needs, but we all kind of deserve that representation. So, you can disagree with someone politically, but you still want to work with them. I'm not really interested in asking if people are Republican or Democrat. I really just want to know what's happening in their community and what we can do to help solve some of those problems.
Okay, again, thank you. Question three. What sets you apart from your opponent?
Well, there's a few things, but I think that I narrowed it kind of down to I'm an organizer, I'm a community organizer. So that's kind of first and foremost. accessibility, and I try to be really proactive. I think the biggest difference that I come from is that community organizing. When I see a problem, my instinct isn't really to wait for someone else to kind of address it. I really just try to bring up whatever solution we can come to, even if it's just a temporary one that we can talk about building onto. Um, bringing people together and figuring out what resources exist and how we can kind of start working on some of those things. So I'm already kind of active in the community, not afraid to challenge any specific party. So I believe that, representation should be visible and accountable for those things. Bringing new ideas and urgency. I think that, as a longtime incumbent person, some of those things get kind of lost. So I do have new ideas, and I'm not really running for any title of representation, just kind of running because I want people to see somebody representing them, if that makes sense.
Okay, Miranda. Question number 4. What do you feel is the number one issue for your office?
Well, I think it changes, but I think right now, clean, affordable water is a really hot topic going on right now. So, that kind of talks about that aging infrastructure and some of those rural water systems and the smaller communities, that can't really shoulder some of those enormous infrastructure costs. I think that state government should be a little bit more aggressive in helping those communities, and state and federal funding. So, I think Kansas needs some long-term infrastructure there and some planning and not so much crisis management. I think that, just basic affordability, food insecurity is another big thing for us. So I already do kind of a lot of work in that food insecurity. So I'd really like to bring some of that from Topeka into the district. So yeah, food, water, and I think just overall affordability is probably some of the bigger things.
Thank you very much. Question number 5. How will you balance the needs of District 69 with the needs of Kansas as a whole when voting on legislation?
Sure. So, I think that sometimes you just have to start with, does this help my district? Does it hurt another community? Are urban and rural suburban Kansans, being more connected by this, or is this causing a less connection? I would like to listen to the representatives whose districts experience issues differently, and kind of not trade the long-term statewide stability for a short local win. I think I can advocate for District 69 without pretending that 69 exists in a vacuum. So I think that as long as we're affecting our community and not hurting our community, I would definitely be listening to all kinds of solutions.
Thank you. Question number 6. What factors will you consider when deciding whether to support or oppose a bill?
Sure. So I think that some of it starts with, who benefits, who pays, does it actually solve the problem? Are there unintended consequences that we might see kind of later down the road? I'm going to read the bill. I'm going to listen to constituents, talk to people who are directly affected by it. Look at some of that evidence, and ask who benefits and who carries the burden. At party leadership, isn't really good enough for me. I think that I was elected to represent my district and not a party. So, again, that R and that D behind someone's name isn't really going to be a factor in deciding legislation for me. It'll definitely be the fiscal impact, the implication of it, and some of the evidence behind the legislation.
Thank you again. And for the last question, how will you work with legislators who have different viewpoints to achieve meaningful results for Kansas?
Sure. So I think that I probably will disagree pretty loudly with some of the people in Topeka. But, I don't think that disagreement really, prevents cooperation, so just because we're disagreeing with something doesn't mean that I can't cooperate and, have ideas and try to build something from there. I think that building some of those relationships, before, you go to vote for something and finding some of those shared issues like the water and the childcare and the agriculture, you know, um, it's just being willing to work with anybody. And I'm not willing to work against people that represent just for the sake of getting along. You know what I mean? So I really just want to represent for my district and not worry about getting along with people so much as I would being willing to cooperate with them and come up with some different ideas.
Thank you again. That's all the questions. You now have an opportunity for a closing statement.
Okay, we're just flying right on through here, Keith. Um, so, at the end of the day, I am running because I believe representation should be active. I should be visible and I should be accountable. District 69 includes people who are progressive, conservative, moderate business owners, farmers, retirees, and I'm never going to pretend that all of those people agree with me or with each other. My job isn't to make them agree. My job is to listen to them and represent them honestly and find places where we can actually move forward. I want to build some of those skills and bring some of the skills I've learned as an organizer to Topeka. We really listen first and we bring people together. We like to identify the problem and then actually do something about it. I don't think that Kansas lacks good people or good ideas. I think it's just too often that we've lacked the political will to act on them. And that's what I want for District 69 is just that accountability, the accessibility, and some of that action. Um, Accessibility matters, problems before party labels, organizers, action and not just talk, clean and affordable water, just putting your district first, and keeping Kansas kind of interconnected because I really do believe that even in my district where we have Salina and then some of these rural counties, we are really interconnected and we do have a lot of the same beliefs and just getting down to who benefits from what, who's going to pay for it, does it work, and just working with anyone that has the same values and the same kind of ideas for Kansas and for my district. So I think that's all I got, Keith.
Well, thank you very much, Miranda, for taking the time to educate voters. We believe that that is really important. So when they go to the polls to vote, they'll know why they are voting for whoever it may be. So we'll see
Yeah,
what
and
happens.
thanks for some of those who have voted for me, and I'm right now I'm just trying to kind of earn the trust in some of those who didn't, and so it's been a great race and a good primary. So thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being with us and doing what you're doing. So you have a good day.